Chapter 9, the final chapter of Tractate Gittin, goes through some additional final laws of the divorce document. The first Mishnah says, if a husband divorces his wife and informs her that there's a stipulation that she can marry whoever she wants besides for one particular individual, some say she can marry anyone besides for that one guy, others say she can't marry anybody, so the husband should instead retract the divorce document and give it back, now saying that she's allowed to marry anybody. If the restriction was written into the actual divorce document, even if he erased it later, the document is invalid. The Gemara explains the Mishnah used some odd wording of that she can marry anyone but a specific individual. It debates if this means except for him or on condition that she doesn't marry him. Based on a related discussion of tsaras, leprosy impurity, where it uses similar wording, it shows that it means except for this person. Others do still disagree. It further explains this debate as to whether specific qualifications within a divorce document is valid or not. It also debates if this concept is permissible by betrothal. There is an additional unresolved point as to what if the husband had told the woman she can remarry anybody besides for some particular people, and then handed her the divorce document saying she's allowed to marry those people. It's debated if she can now marry anybody or if he meant she can now only marry those particular individuals. In regards to the opinion that the husband can make restrictions within the divorce as mentioned later, many sages wanted to refute this, so they posited many potential issues that could arise from this situation, but it was said it couldn't be refuted. It gives additional instances of this concept. The attempted refutations are additionally discussed. Further, any potential condition on a divorce cannot prevent complete marital severance. For instance, if the document is conditional that she no longer drinks wine, it's valid. If it's conditional that she no longer drinks wine so long as the wife is still alive, it's invalid. If it's conditional that she no longer drinks wine as long as another particular person is still alive, this is valid. Additionally, it's debated as for what to do if the man gave his wife a divorce document saying, "You are not my wife today, but you are tomorrow." It said once she's divorced for that first day, she's permanently divorced. If the husband told his wife she's divorced on condition she goes and marries a certain person, it said she cannot now marry that person, so that way people don't think that you're allowed to trade your wife as a gift. But if she did end up marrying him, they don't need to divorce due to this rabbinic issue. Others disagree and say she actually can't marry anybody, as she has to marry him as stipulated, but she also can't marry him due to the mentioned issue. So he would hold that she must divorce anybody she marries, besides for the particular individual as was stipulated. If there is an impossible to fulfill condition in the divorce document, like that she flies up to the sky or something similar, it's debated if it's valid. We hold it is. It's debated if the condition that she does something impermissible, like eat a pig, if that's similar to this, or as it's a physically possible thing, if it's considered to be a binding condition. If further debates the validity of such a stipulation, the remaining points from the Mishnah are additionally qualified. These are discussed further along with some particular incidents. New Mishnah. If a husband gives a woman a divorce document on condition that she doesn't marry somebody that she can't marry anyways, such as his father, her brother, a non-Jewish person, or otherwise, it's a valid divorce. If she was a widow and he said she can marry anybody besides for a Kohen Gadol, or now that she's a divorcee, a Kohen, or an illegitimate individual, or anybody else that you are permitted to make a betrothal with, albeit through a transgression, the divorce is invalid. The Gemara clarifies what additional cases these parameters include. If the husband stipulated that his wife can marry anybody besides for a particular minor, it's debated if this is a valid stipulation, as a minor is not allowed to be betrothed until he's an adult, or perhaps it would be valid as he'll become an adult eventually, undoing that factor. It debates this from a few similar cases. This first point, it said the divorce is invalid, and the remaining points are unresolved. New Mishnah. The main part of the text of the divorce document is, "You are hereby permitted to any man." Some add that the document must have the words, "And this is what shall be to you from me, a document of banishment, and a letter of abandonment, and a bill of release, to go and wed any man that you will want." The main parts of an emancipation document are the words, "You are hereby a free woman or man," or "You are hereby unto yourself." The Gemara discusses other particular phraseology that could function within these documents. It also explains particularities in regards to the method of writing the divorce document, the way certain letters should be marked, spacings between certain letters and words, and similar. There are additional points on this. It generally looks like this. New Mishnah. 3 types of divorce documents are invalid, but if the woman remarries after receiving one, her children are still legitimate. A document written in the handwriting of her husband, but wasn't signed by witnesses, a document that was signed by witnesses but has no date, a document with a date, but only one signed witness. Some say if it wasn't signed by witnesses, but it was given before witnesses, it's valid. And also an unsigned document given before witnesses can be used to collect encumbered properties, as this opinion holds witnesses' signatures aren't essential, they're just to prevent issues. The Gemara says this is unlike an old divorce document, as described earlier, where the remarriage is permitted initially, unlike here. It also doesn't discuss an unsigned folded divorce document, also mentioned earlier, although it's similar. It Also explains why it didn't bring the mentioned case of the document being dated unlike the region. This is further qualified. There are additional points on this and several opinions as to who exactly we follow by these laws. New Mishnah. If two men sent two identical divorce documents to their wives through an agent and they got mixed up, both documents should be given to both women. So if one got lost, the other can't be used. If 5 men all write within the same divorce document that they're divorcing their wives with all the signatures below, it's valid and should be given to each of their wives. If a separate basic formatting was written for each of them with the witnesses signed at the bottom, only the bottom one is valid. The Gemara additionally qualifies specifics on these points. New Mishnah. If there were 2 divorce documents written on one paper beside each other, and there are 2 Hebrew witnesses from one going beneath both and 2 Greek witnesses from the other extending beneath both, only the first Hebrew document is valid. If one is Hebrew and Greek and one is Hebrew and Greek extending beneath both, then both are invalid. The Gemara explains the particular issues with these cases in regards to the specific formatting of the signatures on a divorce document. These are discussed further. New Mishnah. If the remainder of a divorce document is written in a second column with the signatures beneath that one, it's valid. If the signatures are at the top, to the side, or on the back of an unsealed divorce document, it's invalid. If 2 divorce documents are attached vertically by the tops and the signatures are in between, both are invalid. If both are attached by the bottoms with the signatures in between, only the document facing the same way as the signatures is valid. If the bottom of the first is attached to the top of the other with the witnesses between, only the top document is valid. If a regular document writing was in Hebrew and it was signed in Greek, or written in Greek and signed in Hebrew, or one witness's signature was Hebrew and the other was Greek, or it was written by a scribe and signed by one witness, it's valid. If the witness signed name witness, it's valid. If he signed the son of his parents' name witness, that's valid. If he wrote name the son of his parents' name, but he didn't write witness, it's valid. And this was how some particularly righteous individuals would sign their documents. Additionally, if in the actual document the husband and wife's last names were written instead of the parents' names, it's still valid. The Gemara discusses the issues in regards to the formatting with illicit cases. It debates the specifics as to what's being referenced in the described cases, with the witnesses being signed in between, along with a few particular incidents, and it also expounds on a number of related verses. New Mishnah. Only a Jewish court is allowed to force a man to give a divorce document. You're allowed to hire non-Jewish people to beat up the husband until he's willing to give the divorce document. The Gemara further discusses this, along with the validity of certain courts from those times doing this. New Mishnah. If a woman was rumored to be betrothed, she's treated like she's betrothed. If a woman is rumored to be divorced, she's treated like she's divorced. There are mitigating factors which remove the effects of such a rumor, such as if the woman was divorced conditionally or if the betrothal was thrown to the woman, so it's questionable. The Gemara discusses this along with the believability of other types of rumors of impermissible relations, particular variants of betrothal, like in a different town, and similar. These are additionally discussed along with particular incidents. These are all further discussed. New Mishnah. Beis Shammai says a man is not allowed to divorce his wife unless he found her being adulterous, which is based off of a verse. Beis Hillel says a man can even divorce his wife if she did something offensive to him, like burn his food. Rabbi Akiva said a man can even divorce his wife if he found someone he'd prefer to marry, which is also based on a verse. The Gemara additionally debates the wording of these verses as to their implication. Additionally, if a husband divorces his wife for no reason, he does not need to remarry her. It's also said to be improper to plan on divorcing a wife without letting them know. There are additional verses spoken on in regards to grounds for divorce on the topic of wives acting publicly improperly, and to be careful of such things. There's more on this, and it says that God despises a man who divorces his wife in regards to a second marriage. And further, it's said that when a man divorces his first wife, even the altar in the temple cries, which is based on a number of verses. And that's the end of chapter 9 and the entire Tractate Gittin.